Yeah, well, it wasn't a matchup zone. It was basically a way more help and way more switching, but certainly gave the look of a matchup zone. It's basically the same thing. But it is much different defense than we played in the past. My dad, if the research, it was basically what my dad's teams had always played, and instead of starting out in a zone, we start out in a man and then we go to zone principles. Got to get better defending the three out of it, but it's something I'm comfortable teaching. You hope that it can confuse the defense. I don't think it had a big enough impact in the first half at all. But I do think in the second half, we did a little bit better job with our switching, and we never mentioned to the team that it had principles of a matchup zone, but it does.
You didn't start Buzo or Terrence and they each scored 20 points. Were you hoping to light a fire under them, or is that just a matchup thing?
No, it wasn't a matchup thing. It was, I wanted to start off, instead of talking about those two, I'd probably start off, in my opinion, because you guys aren't in our practices and stuff. I wanted to give a look at Kevin Patton. The 50-50 balls and reaction, in my opinion, has got to drastically improve. And so it was really, and that's why Isaiah played a little bit too tonight. We need to find a combination of guys that can react to loose balls and create some more things defensively. And Kevin gambled off of a strong side corner and gave a three, and he's a young player, and so he's going to learn some of these defensive principle, discipline, defender type stuff. But we got to continue to tinker. I will say that the entire coaching staff is super proud of how Terrence and Buzo reacted. No hanging their head, no pouting, no why is this happening, which is what you want out of experienced veterans. I don't think they could have handled it any better. Literally, I think if you asked me before the game how they could, if I would have said they shot the ball like that and rebounded the ball, it wasn't just their shooting tonight. Terrence Williams, 4 offensive rebounds. Every time I kind of felt like, hey, maybe this lead's in jeopardy, Terrence would get a tip in. 4-0 boards at his position is a lot. And then Buzo rebounded the ball defensively as well. So those two guys in particular, I thought their approach was phenomenal.
How big a deal is it for your team, for Buzo to get out of his slump and have a night like he did tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I just, on the radio, I just talked about a baseball player. Sometimes it's just about getting at bats. If you have a good hitting player and he goes through 3 games and he's 0 for 3, 1 of 4, eventually that good player, and if you just look at his stats over the last couple of years, I mean, the shots are going to fall. He does take difficult shots. So as a coaching staff, that's he can make guarded shots, closely guarded shots, and when he's not making them, it's hard to kind of accept that as a teammate or a coaching staff. But that's kind of who he is, and we have to continue to build his confidence and let him know, hey, we need you to get those attempts up, because eventually they're going to fall. And you go back to the exhibition game, and when those two guys play like that, we're good, and we can beat anybody when those two guys shoot the ball from the perimeter like that. And when they don't, we could lose to anybody, quite frankly. And that's sometimes it can be as simple as that.
You still seem a little frustrated at times. Is that just because?
Well, one, it's my personality. And I think it's our job to try to win every possession. Defensively, you want perfection. Offensively, you want perfection. I'm still trying to figure this out. Obviously, we changed starting lineup again. We've had 3 different people jump center. I mean, that's probably the only team with 5 games that have had 3 different guys jump center. But I'm trying to figure it out. I don't have all the answers. A couple guys, defensively have got to improve, or I can't keep playing the minutes that I have. And it's, some of it might be a surprise down the road. But we need some guys to guard better too.
Say 2 more.
Is it at all concerning that Saint and Desmond only combined for 6 points, or is that just gonna happen sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Saint is he had 9 assists, so, Desmond's got to react to loose balls, and we got to guard the point guard better. I mean, and it's not on one guy, it's always on a team, but, I watch Idaho State, and Darling struggles some nights, and, he torched us. And, I looked at the box score the other night at Arlington, and the guy that had 20 at halftime he was 2 for 8 last night. So we got some issues as far as how do we guard things, how do all 5 guys on the floor guard some of their perimeters. I thought, tonight it was Will McClendon early, and he still ends up with a heck of a stat line. We didn't do a very good job on their star. We, throughout the time that I've coached, either in the NBA or the box score tells you we usually do a really good job against stars. Certainly in college, and I think the same way that defensively in the NBA, we were at least known for that. I'm disappointed that the stars keep torching us, because these guys are having career nights, and it's got to stop. Certainly before we get to Big Ten play and before we get to Palm Springs.
Can Wesley guard some of these quicker point guards? I mean, he seems like
He-
the most athletic player.
Yeah, he's been on him. Because Des only played tonight 22 minutes, so somebody had to be on the point guard. For the most part, it was Wes. Wes's issue defensively is just he's so aggressive. Is we just need him to be a little more disciplined defender and not reach and gamble so much. And if he does, he's got to get a piece of the ball. But he didn't play last year, so he's a young, growing player, and for us, he's like a Vinnie Johnson for the old Detroit Pistons. He's same build as Vinnie, same game, a combo guard who comes off and gives you scoring punch. I can't see us starting West, because I feel really comfortable with his energy level coming off the bench.
Oh, my question was basically about Wes. This is his 4th consecutive game scoring double digits. Just kind of wondering, you just said defense is his weakness right now?
I wouldn't call it a weakness. Just when the question was asked kind of about guarding point guards, he just needs to be a little more disciplined defensively. But we think with his strength, his quickness, his athleticism, that we need to continue to coach him and show him stuff on film and develop that part of his game a little bit more. Obviously, his offensive game, and tonight him making 2 threes stretches out his game even more, because when he makes threes, he's such a good dribble drive guy.
Thank you, Coach Musselman.
Yep, thanks you guys.